Philadelphia 76ers. Based on what you guys have seen, they're 5-1. We've seen Joel, flashes. Tyrese Maxey's been Tyrese Maxey. We spoke on VJ Edgecombe earlier. How do we feel about this team? Are they contenders or are they cons? Ox kind of outlined it earlier to even just make the second round of the playoffs.
Well, Swiper, you brought up a really interesting point about VJ and how tough he is. And I marvel at stuff like that. Prime example would be the Celtic game. So Peyton Pritchard went after him early and often. Usually when rooks, get their ass kicked early, a lot of them cower. He didn't. In fact, he went right back after Peyton Pritchard. He stayed in the game. He stayed aggressive. He stayed fighting around screens. He did a great job at navigating screens. He did a great job at staying in front of Peyton Pritchard as much as he possibly could. He didn't roll over. And I think that that's a testament to what kind of player I think he can be.
I was so low on Philly during the summertime, obviously because of Joel Embiid and Paul George being injured. Joel surprised me playing in the preseason, and I wasn't expecting to see Joel till around Christmas time. So, that changed my outlook on them. Higher on them. VJ Edgecombe, he's basically Anthony Edwards,
saying that he's as good as him right now is wild. But he can be as good, maybe, potentially. We'll have to see.
I'm just being optimistic on the young fella. I think he's going to be pretty good. Jared McCain coming back. I know a lot of people think that they can't play these three guards together, and I think that's outrageous. I think there's 48 minutes in the basketball game, so they can all play. I'm gonna go ahead and for the first time ever, I'm gonna stand behind this iteration of the 76ers. And I'm going to say, yeah, I think they can make the second round of the playoffs.
So the process has finally arrived for you.
No, the process is over. The process is done. There is no process. This is not the process. This is some young fellas that they're riding behind. I don't know what y'all would have called that, but this is not the process, Ron. That is over. And also, to Mars's point, he didn't say it today, but he said it plenty of times, and I think we all know, Paul George is still an NBA basketball player. He might not be Paul George of 2019, but he's still an NBA basketball player. So when he comes around, I expect him to help. Expect him to help. These some young dogs too. Y'all know how I feel about Tyrese Maxey. So
well, in this East, given the context of the rest of the conference and the depth they have, I think there's an argument you can make that they are contenders. The same thinking about where they are. They're currently rated as early in the season, I get it, a top 6 team in terms of net rating, how they're performing overall this year, with the same metrics that was referenced earlier about the OKC offense. I think that they have a lot of different lineup variabilities they can use. I think Embiid obviously is taking a different role with the roster. And then I think having, Grimes, Edgecombe, Maxey, and McCain around Embiid is going to be important. Kelly Oubre's had a good defensive start to the year. There's definitely a route for them. If you told me they're fully healthy going into the playoffs, especially with the reduced version of Embiid and reduced as in, this is what we have to deal with. He's just never going to be the same type of player. I do think there's a world in which they could be legitimate contenders out of the Eastern Conference, if they can maintain a relative good bill of health. So, yeah, they got everything you need in this league. They got multiple ball handlers. They have a anchor in the middle of the paint, and they have wings that can play too. So, yeah, man, they definitely could be at some point.
Ron, I'm sorry. Y'all dudes could be as calm as y'all possible. Joel Embiid's in the way. He is. I watched this Philly team. Joel Embiid is in the way. These dudes get in the half court. Joel Embiid, 7'1", standing at the long ball line, waiting for the ball to get swung. Move, big fella. You're in the way. This team can play a lot faster. VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, they might be the most athletic backcourt in the league, which means that if I got these two playing, we can play way faster. Meanwhile, I got a big fella standing at the three-point line with his hands like this. In fact, not only do I have him at the three-point line standing with his hands like this, we got a one-possession game, and we got a possibility of winning this game, and we come out of a timeout, and this dude is at the three-point line shooting threes. Get Joel Embiid off the floor, yo. He's in the way.
When they gave him the ball
to shoot a three to win the game.
No. Chill, that's not how that happened. That's not fair.
No, he's in the way. I thought Ox was going to climb through the screen, how pissed off
But
he
didn't
was.
they?
Chill,
It was a
in
bailout.
my defense, in my defense, and Joel Embiid's defense, this is crazy. In Joel Embiid's defense, chill, that he should have never had the ball. That is a Nick Nurse issue right there. In running a terrible set. I think Joel might have been standing there to kind of clear the paint, and they were supposed to get the ball. On the move, catch the ball on the move, heading towards the rim. Instead, I think was it Quentin Grimes that got the ball out there?
Yeah, it was a botched play, and then
it was terrible.
Quentin was trying to do some nonsense at the top of the key, realized he got stuck, and then at the very end of it, when he needed to get rid of the ball, Embiid just happened to be standing there. Like it was the reason why Embiid got a 3. And so just for chill spreading misinformation. Grimes got the ball. He drove up the court on Peyton Pritchard. He then tried to get the ball. He tried to get the ball to Tyrese Maxey. Jaylen Brown doubled, and then with literally 0.0000000 seconds on the floor, Embiid had the ball in his hands and put the shot up and didn't even get it off in time because of a Grimes mistake. He got thrown terrible. The pill at the end of the game.
I'd argue the play call was just bad, but
right. I think that's a Nick Nurse issue. It was terrible.
It looked like a bad play, but maybe they did just mess it up. I don't know what the plan was, but it looked messed up.
Why was he out?
I don't think I was definitely pissed, chill, but not at Joel.
Yeah.
They had a half court timeout. The whole thing was when the clock before the clock got inbound, they had 3.5 seconds left. Their goal was Embiid stand on, but they ran multiple screens. They tried to get JB off of Maxey. But then that didn't happen. So then the third option on this play, because VJ Edgecombe was going towards the rim. That's option number 2. First option is Tyrese Maxey come off the screen. Third option is going to be Quentin Grimes. Fourth option is going to be just throwing it over to Embiid. The third option was open. So Kelly Oubre threw in the ball.
One bucket, but keep going.
3.5 seconds on the clock. He then he was supposed to dribble by Peyton Pritchard and then get to the rim, but Peyton stood in his way, and then on the other side of that, Jaylen Brown looked at the clock and said he can't pass this ball. He doubled off Tyrese Maxey with a second and 0.7 left, and then he did all this, and then by the time Embiid gets the ball, there's literally 0.6 on the shot clock. So it wasn't about
he doesn't have enough time to get the
it wasn't Embiid.
Right,
Embiid didn't do anything in that play. Yeah.
With everything, with your iteration, with everything that you just said, Swiper, how often was Joel Embiid in that space throughout the course of the night? More often than he should have been. It's a one-possession game. Not only is it a one-possession game, it's a one-bucket game, not a 3. We can get something quick closer to the basket. Why isn't it drawn up for Joel Embiid at the basket? I think Joel Embiid finds himself a lot more comfortable where he was. Out on the ring, out on the wing.
Joel Embiid don't draw up the plays, right?
Yeah, wait, and chill. They ran a screen and roll. They ran a screen and roll at the top of the key with Joel Embiid with 25 seconds left, and that's Maxey got a free drive to the lane off of them not playing it well. Josh Minott and Derek White were double teaming Embiid. They then didn't do the switch correctly, and then he went downhill. He got the layup. The issue was the other end. So Josh Minott missed the free throw. And then they got an opportunity to get the ball back, and then they doubled.
I just think it was a bad play call.
Yeah, they doubled Embiid on another possession, and they got a 3 out of it.
Bad execution.
So chill. You love
combination of both.
Biggs getting in the paint. He had an isolation. He had an isolation 103 to 108 with 55 seconds left with Xavier Tillman. They obviously didn't want him to get a solid ISO, so then he got a double with Josh Minott. He then throws the ball, wraps around Minott's shoulder to a wide open VJ, and VJ hits the 3.
What you guys are doing? What you guys?
I think I might be with you though.
I think Chill is making an overarching point about like not just boggling down to that specific play, but just that franchise in general. It just may be time to move on from Joel Embiid. I'm very conflicted about. I mean, that's what he originally.
And this is
why you said Joel's in the way, and you pointed.
He said Joel's in the way, and then he brought up that.
We're disagreeing with the last play of the game.
Yeah. That's what he said.
Right. Yeah.
But so I think I'm in conflict with the 76ers situation because I do think they can contend this one specific year because of the context of the Eastern Conference, like Swiper brought up earlier. However, I also believe that the longer that you wait around for Joel Embiid, the lower his trade value does get, because I don't know if he can stay healthy.
He doesn't have any trade value right now, though.
Exactly. Nobody's buying this limit.
I get it, but
nobody wants that jalopy.
It gets worse as you continue to wait.
No, it doesn't. Real talk. No, it does not. Nope. It does not.
Who's out here spending good money on July?
Chill's saying the guy who's in the way is apparently going to play his way into better trade value despite being in the way, and then they're going to manipulate someone into paying the $50 million.
Yes,
manipulate? That's not manipulate. That's scam.
I don't know what. I don't know what franchise Chill thinks exists in the NBA where they're trading for Joel Embiid.
Chill, he has a $58 million bill this year. He has 62.7 next year. It has a player option. And then he has a player option for 67.3.
So apparently there's an incompetent franchise.
That brother going.
So what franchise do you think is incompetent enough to trade for Joel Embiid? Because you think it's going to happen. So the Lakers are so the Lakers are trading.
How much is DeMar making? Because we're dumb enough.
DeMar's making 25. So half.
Now remember.
So the Lakers are dumb enough to trade for Joel based on what?
No.
Okay, so number one, Joel Embiid is still a star power name, and the fact that he's a star power name brings star power to the Lakers. They would do it. Knowing how the Lakers are, I think that they would do something like that. But to your point,
when have they ever done that?
Bringing in players that are
bringing in one of the worst contracts in the sport. Russell Westbrook, is that the only example?
Yes, Russell Westbrook. They have done that.
And you think they'll do it again?
And Russ wasn't injury
to be honest.
Russ wasn't injury prone. Yeah,
well,
but if they
still way better.
Remember too, Moss. Remember where we are. To answer your question, remember where we are. We're in a league right now where everybody thinks because of the parity that they have, if you're close, that we can win it. So trading for a guy like Joel Embiid, playing with James, depending on what they would have to give up, playing with James.
Well, they have to make $50 million. So
yes, you have to make $50 million work, which means that you may have to get a third team involved. And I'm just bringing up the Lakers. I'm not just bringing up the Lakers as the only team. I think that there are other teams. To your point, when you talked about Joel Embiid being in the way, let's not make it seem like Joel Embiid is in the way, but he's still not effective. No, he's in the way, but he's still effective. And it's effective enough for teams to go, you know what? Maybe he can work with us, especially if we're close. Now, I understand the money is a huge issue. 100% saying the money is a huge issue. It's
the biggest issue.
If he can show that he can hold up, I don't know, for a month or two, real talk, and he might be on the market, I think we can finagle somebody.
You know, Joel Embiid's the second highest paid player in the NBA, right?
I do know that. And I, to be honest with you, I said the same thing. I said the same thing when Chris Paul's contract was radioactive. When he ended up getting moved, when he ended up signing that deal in Houston, when he was injury prone, and then he ended up getting moved. I just saw Luka get traded last year. Nobody in this league is untradeable.
Those trades have different contexts around them. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not even really keeping up. So you're saying he's in the way in Philly.
Yes.
But then somebody else is going to want him, knowing that he's on that kind of contract and under contract for like 2-3 more seasons, getting paid that much money.
60-70 million.
How are those things congruent?
Well, he's got 4 years on his contract. So this year and 3 more.
To your point, real talk. So I could be in the way, but still be effective to other people. They could see what I'm doing. And like prime example, we
$60 million effective.
As I was saying, like Josh Giddey is a prime example of that, right? Josh Giddey is a prime example of that. Josh Giddey was a guy who it just didn't fit. He was in the way, but he ended up moving on, right? He ended up moving on, and it looked a lot better. This situation with Joel Embiid playing with Philly, where he's in the way of this, I feel like he's in the way, but he's still effective in that offense. He can still knock down a mid-range jump shot. He can still fit. He might not be able to get up as high as he
I don't know how much y'all want to buy into like the, on court.
Was making $8 million last
year. Like it's just, but again, you got to remember the CBA. Everyone is trying to avoid the first and second apron, and so the question then becomes: is it worth adding someone of this caliber, gutting your roster, and then putting yourself in the first or second apron?
Championship,
and then. But the Celtics also just showed you they're not willing to do it. They won a championship, and then the very next year they dumped 60% of their salaries because they don't want to pay a $400 million bill because of the repeater tax. So it's going to be very difficult to get rid of Embiid. I think they're stuck with him, and for the time being until maybe he gets to the last 2 years. 3 years, including this year, left on that deal, and it's going up from 57 to 62 to 67 with a player.
Right, but will he be able to walk in 2 years?
I mean, I hope so.
Obviously,
it's not even like you're getting a guaranteed Embiid is going to play for the next 3 years. So you're trading for the second highest paid player in the league. The only guys above him is Steph and then Dame and Bradley Beal who got bought out. So like based on like actual salaries, he's the second highest paid player in the NBA. His money's going up. He's the most injury prone player in the league. The second apron exists. No tanking team is trading for Joel Embiid. There's no benefit for them doing it. Any contender who trades for Joel Embiid is having to gut their roster to make the money work. It just logistically, how is a team trading for Joel Embiid? It just doesn't actually make sense.
Any tanking team, to your point, isn't going to get involved with Joel Embiid. There's no reason to do that. But I think that you're looking at it only from just teams straight up. Like, I don't know, let's say Minnesota and Philly.
You can't put contracts together in an apron like that, in their second apron. You can't combine contracts. So if you're in the second apron, you cannot combine contracts. It's illegal.
That kills that. That kills that thing.
You can't.
Like he's not tradable. Like it's not. It's whether or not we agree with you that he's in that. Whether or not we agree that he's in the way, that can be a separate discussion. He's as close to untradeable as untradeable exists.
Because
now I can't say no one's untradeable because as far as I'm concerned, I thought Luka Doncic was untouchable, and all of a sudden he got touched. So I'm not saying he is untradeable. Mm-hmm. But if there's a line right like a smidgen below untradeable, that's where Joel Embiid exists. And if he gets traded, fair play, chill. You got it. Right. I think it's highly improbable that Joel Embiid gets traded.
Mars, speaking about getting touched, like we were concerned about Nico's safety. If Rob Pelinka does something like that, chill, he will be dropped off in the Mojave Desert. Maybe
Nico trades AD for Embiid.
It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys don't get it started. The player choice way. You're the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.